Hello everyone, this is Spencer Kalar, also known as Andrew Kalar on my YouTube page. Today I'm going to talk about giving feedback on VIPKID. This is a requirement. You have to give feedback and unit assessment feedback, which I'm also going to submit a unit assessment feedback video after this one. So if you're interested in unit assessment, you can check that out as well. But this video will be about giving feedback. It is a requirement, like I said, of all teachers in VIPKID. If you don't submit within 12 hours, they give you half pay, and I believe if you don't submit at all, they give you zero pay or a quarter pay or something like that. So if you want to get the full pay, you got to make sure you submit feedback. And there is not really a template that you have to follow when it gives feedback. This is a teacher's personal touch about what you think the student needs to improve on, what you think the student is doing well in, and also gives parents a chance to get to know you and for you to tell them how you're connecting with their child. So what I did here, this is one of my students. I've taught him 25 times already. And so this was the feedback I gave him. So Zhao Chen Chung is an awesome student, as always. Today he had to spell the word Darth Vader when he did a good job. You want to build rapport with the students. So I always try to mention one of their hobbies or one of the things they like to do. Me and him, we both really connect. We like Star Wars. So today I had a little Star Wars 10 that I had, and I did the Star Wars sound effects. I did the Star Wars sound effects, and he had to spell the word Darth Vader when he did a good job. And then I usually, after that, I will talk about what the lesson was about. So the lesson continued about friends around the world, and then I usually share 3 or 4 things that the student did correctly, and you really can get really detailed with it. This is only 759 characters. VIPKID allows you to submit up to 3,000 right here. So you can write an essay of feedback if you really want to. You're not required to, but at the same time, if I were you, I wouldn't give one word or one sentence feedback. It's like, your child did great today. That doesn't tell the parent how their child really is doing. It's not providing examples. It's not telling the student and the parents what they need to improve on. So you need to write more than just one sentence, in my opinion. But the lesson continued about friends around the world, and then he retold the story correctly and used the past tense correctly. He also pronounced the O and O sound, or the long O sounds, correctly. He learned the following vocabulary words today: video call, technology, text message, letter, and telephone. He told me he video calls his grandparents because they live far away on an island. So when you're doing your classes, you're going to have times where you are able to have personal conversations with the student and extend beyond the lesson. And this is true especially for levels 4 and 5. If you're in a level 2 or 3, you may stick closer with the lesson. Sometimes you can extend past the lesson, just depending on the student's ability, English speaking ability. Well, this student right here, he does, we have conversations that are outside the lesson all the time because he's pretty proficient in English. But so today he told me, that he video calls his parents because they live far away on an island, and I commented and said that is so cool. One thing he should practice is the plural word for fish. So usually you want to give some things that the student has done well in, and some things that they can improve on. And I think that is the essence of good feedback everywhere, not just on VIPKID, but in the world in general. When you're working with an employer, if you're an employee, like me, I want to know if I'm doing a good job. I want to know things that I need to improve on because I want to be a better employee. I want to be a better teacher. So, at the very core, I believe you gotta, put on there what are some things that the student can improve on, and what are some things that they did well. Because if all you do is put, they need to do this, they need to work on this, they need to do this, yada, 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 then, and it sort of becomes like, you're being very condescending to the student, because then you're like, okay, my child did all these things wrong. Did he do anything right? So you try to find that balance. They say, that is so cool. One thing he should practice is the plural word for fish, and this is one thing he had to practice on. And then usually after stating something he needs to improve on, I usually will try to provide a for example, or provide examples of what the student needs to improve on, so they can have a better understanding of what their child needs to improve on. Because if you just say one thing he should practice is the plural fish, and then you stop, the parents in China, they may not have a very deep understanding of English themselves. So if you're not providing an example, they may not fully understand how they can help their child, because they don't understand your feedback, because you didn't go further into detail. So I put, for example, we have 5 fish instead of fishes, because he said for the plural word for fish, he wrote fishes instead of fish. So I hope Zhao Zhicheng enjoys the summer vacation, because summer vacation is coming up in China. And then I always leave off with, I would love to teach your child again, or could you please provide feedback so I can better assist your child, or something like that. And then you come down to your tips for the next teacher. Usually what I do is I just copy and paste. Sometimes what I'll do is I will write a note and put a note right here and say, if possible, start the lesson a couple of minutes early. The student understands the information, but he is a slow reader. I might write that on there. Or I might say, encourage the student to speak in full sentences. They know the material, but they struggle to speak in full sentences. They give one-word responses instead of full sentences, or something like that. But usually I try to write my feedback in such a way that a teacher can still read my feedback to the parent and say, okay, these are the strengths, these are the weaknesses, these are the things I need to improve on. And that's giving good data to help, being a good team player, in my opinion, for VIPKID, because, then you're helping other teachers so they can be better teachers, because data is essential, in my opinion, to providing good instruction. That's one of the first things I do when I have a new student. I go to and even students I've taught in the past that I maybe haven't taught in a while, is I go to my comments, or I go to their previous feedbacks, and I say, okay, I need to work on the pronunciation, or I need to work on encouraging them to speak in full sentences, or they're really struggling with these certain sounds, or phonics. But likewise, just like I mentioned earlier about writing one-word responses for the parents, if you do the same thing for teachers, and all I can read is, the student did a good job today, that tells me nothing about their academic performance. It's a very vague statement, and I can't really do anything with that as a tutor or as a teacher. And then you have the student placement accuracy. It goes from lesson was extremely easy for the student. The student would definitely benefit from revised placement toward a more difficult curriculum. And then it goes all the way down to lesson was extremely difficult for the student. The student definitely would benefit from revised placement toward an easier curriculum. And then you have lesson was appropriate. I thought the lesson was easy for him, and he may benefit from more difficult curriculum. And then you have academic performance. So it breaks it down usually into speaking, listening, social studies and science, reading and writing, grammar, and math. So if they're struggling with speaking, you put struggling, or if you put reading and writing, don't be afraid to come over here and put, okay, this student's struggling in grammar, or something like that. This student did pretty well today, so I did excellent on everything. And one of the reasons why I love working with VIPKID is they really value your feedback. They ask you about surveys. They usually send me, along with all the other VIPKID teachers, probably 4 or 5 surveys a month, it feels like, because they really want to value they really want to know your opinion, and they really value your opinion. So, like, for instance, say on the side, I notice, okay, on slide 12 is very confusing. And then I might explain why the slide is confusing. And so, they'll review it and say, okay, well, maybe if enough teachers submit that and say that slide 12 is confusing, they will say, okay, we need to fix that. So that is giving feedback for a major lesson, or for a lesson. I hope this helps you. And also you can make, suggestions to students through VIPKID, which is only seen by the student's learning partner, and that is someone on the VIPKID staff who really monitors the student's academic progress. And different issues. If you want to say you're having an issue with the student's behavior, student couldn't focus, you felt like the parent was involved too much, say the student had their microphone was fuzzy, you can hit the student IT issues and explain it. If you're having trouble with your technology, teacher gives apology, or say you maybe mistaught a lesson and you want to correct that, teacher gives apology. So you can do all that. I hope this video helps you today. Please subscribe to my page, and I'm signing off. Thank you.